save that tangent for later.
Yeah, exactly. I've got it all saved, hook, line, and sinker. I'm building a case.
The little rainy day jar. Break that out, on a rainy day.
Why do they break open the jar? Why not just open it? It's like breaking open a piggy bank. There's a hole in the bottom.
Because when you're filming it, you gotta have action. You think it's more dynamic, and it keeps the momentum going if they break the piggy bank instead of just uncorking its asshole.
Pig's asshole is not on his tummy. Pig's asshole is by that little curly tail.
I don't know what piggy banks you grew up with.
You grew up with butt plug piggy banks? Here you go, little Duncan. Save it for a special day.
No,
You're digging your hand up in there? You got
First of all, it was only a couple of fingers, but...
Little Farmer Duncan's really going deep. Get all those saved up quarters. We're going to Toys R Us for a Skylander.
We're going to Toys R Us for Bionicle.
Listen, that's acceptable, but I'm still not going to dig in butthole for Bionicle.
You're telling me there's a line you won't cross for Bionicle?
I'd like to believe it, but we'll have to put it to the test.
Telling me if Derek Lego walked into this room right now
with just a fat hog, and he's like, listen, you want a Bionicle remake, you gotta dig elbow deep in this truffle pud. Do I get a latex glove? No. Alright. So.
I'm crying.
Welcome to another episode of KAFM.
That'll never make air.
This part will.
Yeah, I know, and I love teasing people about it.
Okay.
You won't believe the bullshit.
I'm John. That's Duncan.
Hello.
And we're going for a little more structure here.
We're trying.
As we've tried our newest episode type, titled, what's the term? What is the term? Not colloquially titled. What is it? Earnestly titled? Warmly titled? What is it when you title something?
Welcome to Goodwill Grab Bag. Believe it or not, we didn't get these films from Goodwill or a bag, so we're off to a great start.
But we got them from a thrift store.
Yeah, so...
Because the idea of this segment is instead of picking a movie with tenuous connections, like we've been doing previously, whether you knew it or not, because I don't even think we talked about it.
I mean, some of them were, box office bomb squads, and then for, ISS, we were like, what's tenuously connected? This is space. Ad Astra space.
And but I would argue Madam Web and Argyle are both about seeing the future. So it's a tenuous...
There is wow, we doubled up on two different segments. There's a Venn diagram there, and I didn't
We're much better at this than we thought, just not on the audio portion or the...
No, these sound like shit.
They'll sound better soon. We're working it out.
There's a magic box that blue screened my computer before we started.
And you got a little testy.
Look, we can settle this off
just
air.
Un poquito.
Look, if you have an issue, we could talk about it off air.
No, I talk about it on air. I bring my anger to my workplace and to my home.
There is no balance.
There are no boundaries. But Goodwill Grab Bag is the idea where we go to a thrift store, we get a bunch of shitty movies. In this case, boxes.
So, can I talk about where I got these real quick? About an hour and a half drive from where I live, so you could probably geolocate me. Based on that information, there's a secondhand bookstore that sometimes gets DVDs and Blu-rays with the boxes of books that they take in, and they're like, we don't sell fucking movies. So in the corner of the store, there's just crates of movies where it says 80 DVDs for $20.
So we got 2 boxes.
A box each.
We got 160 of these. And our only way we could think to pick and choose the winners is you reach a hand in, you grab a DVD, I reach my hand in, grab a DVD, and those are the 2.
And we did that, but in reverse. You grabbed the first one.
All right. Well, that first one was
Ronin. I say it painfully because
it's not painful. It's from 1998, directed by somebody. He had a name.
He had a name. God, I feel bad because it's one of those things where he had like a long and storied career,
Mm-hmm.
and then this was just people called this like a late stage. I was about to call it a diagnosis. No, like late in his career, he died
Renaissance.
He died like 4 years after this came out. It was like a late in his career sort of like cherry on top.
Yeah.
Like this was considered
And if this was the cherry on top, I don't want to eat the shit sandwich that's beneath it.
I was gonna say something about how like the cherry still like got a pit in it or something, but
I went real hard on. I don't know the rest of his filmography or his name, but Ronin stars Robert De Niro and Jean Reno.
Oh, I love Jean Reno.
And Sean Bean for a little bit.
And then they make him leave.
Stellan Skarsgård.
Stellan Skarsgård. There was a couple other who played the bad guy. Jonathan Pryce.
Jonathan Pryce. So it's like a bunch of names that your father would know because that's who this movie is for. It's for dad to put on and not be very involved in. And I feel like I use that descriptor a lot for movies recently. But there's this thing, dad movies, right? Like Moneyball is probably the quintessential dad movie.
Yeah, but that's a good movie.
Well, it's good, but you put it on and those dudes are locked in.
John Frankenheimer.
That's right.
Is the director.
I knew it. But Ronin is a shining example of a not great dad movie.
No, I mean it looks really nice. Like you can tell this is a very well seasoned director who's done tons of stuff. He knows how the camera what looks good and what doesn't.
Mm.
He keeps the camera going in an interesting way to keep you watching, but it's such a slow burn. I think the candle went out.
It's a slow burn is charitable for the first hour of this movie.
And there's the only shootout in this movie is in the first hour.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
So
this movie stars Robert De Niro as this movie opens with it looks very like Germanic text talking about what a Ronin was, which was a samurai who lost his master and now wanders the earth.
Yeah, they keep talking about like ancient Japanese culture and like different practices of like the samurai, what was and wasn't honorable. But the type font in this movie is so Germanic.
And I think it's supposed to be Celtic, but it just looks Bavarian.
Yeah, I think it's meant to be Celtic too because like there's various degrees of villains in this movie, and the person who ends up being the final bad guy is Irish.
Yeah, and. Like, if I wrote Oktoberfest in that font, you wouldn't blink an eye, though.
No.
And Germany has nothing to do with this movie. It's like Irish and French and Russian a little bit.
Yeah, there's Americans, it takes place in France, there's Americans, Irish, and Russians.
And the movie stars Robert De Niro as a Ronin is the idea, right? He's like ex-CIA, now he's just kind of a hitman or like...
I think all of them are meant to be that, like ex-military of like their own home countries.
Yeah, like
they're all
MI5, whatever France's CIA is.
I think they have Interpol there. I think Interpol is headquartered in Paris.
Is it? The only thing I know is the French Foreign Legion.
Which is specifically not French people.
It's Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Was he in?
Not in it for real. He was in a movie called Legionnaire that's not terrible.
But he's not in this one. Jean Reno's in this one.
The wrong Jean.
I like Jean. I just like Leon the Professional.
I like Mission Impossible 1.
I haven't seen it yet.
Well, I haven't seen Leon the Professional. So we come from our different Jean Reno angles. We like him, though.
Reaching across the aisle here.
Exactly. But what we don't like is Ronin.
No, it sucks because I really wanted to like this one. I know I say that about a lot of movies that we watch, but like the casting was there, the directing, the director is, you know, I say it a lot. I've been saying it that he has worked in the industry. He did the original Manchurian Candidate.
Did he?
Yeah, I just looked up his name.
Okay.
He did that. He did the Island of Dr. Moreau, but wasn't the director that got
living in the trees.
Yeah, no.
He was the replacement.
I believe so.
He was the shill.
If my 15 seconds of skimming IMDb have taught me anything.
Oh god.
But like he's done movies that have gone down really well.
Mm.
And this really just felt like he wanted to do, like, he had an idea of, like, fun interplay between ex-military forces from other countries, because Jean Reno's character and Robert De Niro's character, they play really well.
Yeah, because it's just the crux of the movie is all these ex-spies or ex-military dudes get together to do a heist.
Yeah.
And we spend a lot of time with them planning it, but it's not that fast-paced like Ocean's 11 heist planning. It's lots of conversation, and then eventually they're doing it. And they want this briefcase, and you specifically don't know what's in the briefcase.
It's very, I think I likened it to Maltese Falcon at one point.
Yeah, it's like the object isn't the purpose.
No.
But the movie opens with this slow pan after this text, or not pan, but it's like we're seeing this wet French bar, and De Niro kind of comes into frame, and he just sort of mumbles voiceover, and it always sounds like he's eating a sandwich. He's like, the first thing they tell you when you're a hitman, your life's pretty crazy sometimes. I can't do De Niro, and then he hides a gun. We see him. He looks at a bar, and he's like, this bar is crazy. He hides a gun behind the bar, and then he goes into the bar, and he's like, can I have a drink? And I guess that's the code word, because Jean Reno and a woman are there, and they're like, oh shit, it's him.
We're close. I just want a drink.
Which is crazy, because that's like a pretty, like, you'd want a code word to be something someone would never say. Like, there's a zebra on fire. And you'd be like, oh, that's the dude. But if a dude walks in a bar and is like, can I have a drink near closing time? And you're like, we're closed. And he's like, come on, just one? Oh my God, it's a super spot. No, it's a French alcoholic.
So a Frenchman.
Hey.
What are they going to do, fight me?
They'll try.
I'll win. I'm an American.
Oh, that's pretty true. We watched another movie about that.
We'll get there.
But, so then you're like, okay, I guess this is a code. But all of this takes about 10 minutes. Yeah. It's a very slow, so you're waiting for something to go down. To be honest, I thought a bar fight was going to start, and it was going to be like an action-y movie.
There was some really nice tension built in, but there wasn't a release of that tension.
Because then they just go, it's time to go. And then Robert De Niro walks out the back of the bar after asking where the bathroom is. So there's like this extended, like, is this the bathroom? And they're like, yeah. And then he just goes in it. But after that, they walk out. And then before he gets in a van, he grabs the gun he stashed behind the bar. But he doesn't do it secretly. Everyone sees him. So then they get in the van and they just go to the next scene.
I think that was meant to differentiate Robert De Niro from these other characters we're about to meet. First of all, just because he's the protagonist, but also to show how much more experience he has. Because the woman who is orchestrating all this, she asked, why'd you do that? And he said, I never walk into a place I don't know how to walk out of. And so he was leaving it there as a security measure in case shit went sideways. He was able to book it out. Yeah. And he would also have a gun prepared, hidden.
But that's like too much to imply. Because it's like, when the character, in the opening scene, if character's doing narration, and he's like, I'm a hitman. Or like a,
we know he's a hitman.
Right. And if he just goes, I'm always prepared, you kind of just accept it. But then he pulls a gun, you're like, oh, what's going to happen that gun's going to come into play? And like you said, there's one shootout in the movie, and that gun doesn't come into play. He just puts it in his pocket, and he's like, anyway, time to go drink coffee in a sleeping bag next to Jean Reno, which is the next scene. They go to a warehouse, and they're like, all right, everybody, take 5. We got a big day of hitmanning tomorrow. Get your Z's.
We got a big day of heisting tomorrow. They're not hitmen. They're not here to murder anybody yet.
But in the talking, they're like, we might have to take a couple people out. So they're not adverse to killing. They're just like, whatever. They're like, I don't know what you call it, mercenaries?
Yeah, they're mercenaries.
Okay, they're like heist mercenaries? Yeah. Okay. So then they start prepping, and it's just scene after scene of them in different boardrooms. There's like 6 of them, and they all go, well, I need a car. Well, I need a shooter. Well, I need a this. And it's like Stellan Skarsgård, Robert De Niro, Jean Reno, a couple of Sean Bean, and then some other actors I don't know the name of, all having fast dialogue. But then you're like, well, where is this going?
Steven Soderbergh could have taken those 3 days of them talking and put it up on the screen all at the same time.
And this movie would have been 90 minutes instead of 210 or whatever it was.
Yeah, I'm not saying it would have been better. I'm saying it would have been faster.
Absolutely, and that's really where this is dragging. Is I'm listening to Robert De Niro. Now he's like 55.
Yeah, again, this is 1998, and his heyday was the 70s.
So he's older. So he's not gonna run. He's not gonna punch. We see what that looks like now in The Irishman, where he's like tweaking.
I never saw it.
Have you seen the clips from The Irishman?
No.
Oh, they try to pretend he can beat someone up in that movie. He's got his arms up like a little T-Rex, and he's like kicking the curb, but he can't actually put force into it because he'll topple over and turn to dust like a mummy.
I was about to say, he's like 90. You punch him and he's dust.
They de-age him too. It looks terrible.
Oh, I have seen clips of him de-aged, him and Al Pacino.
He's supposed to be 50, which is what he is in this movie. He wasn't punching at 50. I've seen Ronin. He's sipping coffee at 50. He's like, samurai sometimes kill themselves.
First of all, he was told that. He never said it.
All right, well, we'll splice hairs.
One thing I would like, just while we're talking about his morning routine of sipping coffee in a sleeping bag, Jean Reno smokes piss cigarettes, and I will not let anybody forget this fact.
I forgot about that.
He has yellow cigarettes with white filters, and I never even bothered to look up what the fuck that was.
Are there even... I just saw Jean Reno, Robert De Niro's best friend.
In real life.
Just consistently rolling just yellow piss paper and sticking it in his mouth, and he'll offer it to other people and they'll say no thanks. So like, is it a thing? Is he just like, I had pissed on these?
It could honestly just be weed. Sometimes there's like marked cigarettes, and this was the late 90s when smoking weed in America wasn't kosher.
It wasn't weed.
Okay.
Because like the way he's smoking them, he's like, it's like just... The movie would be different if he was like that. He would have a different he's smoking them like it's chain smoking cigarettes.
You can't chain smoke blunts.
Not really, not like this, and not with like crinkle piss paper.
Jean Reno's built different.
I get. Are they chain smoking piss weed in France?
Look, it blends in with the smell of the country.
You're going really hard on the French today. Have we switched places?
Look, all I know about France from never visiting there is that Paris smells like piss because they have a very old sewer infrastructure, and that's not what this is about.
I thought it was because they pissed in the street. I had heard that, like, it's pretty common practice for French dudes to just whip out their smelly wieners and piss in the street.
Now who switched places?
I'm joining the team.
I've done a little clamshell trick here. You don't know where it is.
So, Jean Reno, renowned piss smoker... and I don't mean gay Frenchman, sits down with Robert De Niro, and they become like buddies at the retirement home pretty quickly, because this is a younger Sean Bean, right? He's like 20s at this point, and he's like the cool guy. He's like, you ever kill someone? I'm ready to do it. And the movie's not going to let me, because that would require getting these old fucks to run and do stunts, but I'm going to kill someone. You ever done it? Blah, 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 military this. And Jean Reno and Robert De Niro are like, look at this fucking guy, eh? And then it's just another scene.
Yeah.
And so we do scene after scene of meetings. And each meeting, they figure out something else. And again, we're not seeing them scope things out. They just tell you. They're like, I scoped it out.
Yeah, the woman who's orchestrating all this, she's like, we've got it figured out. Like, to protect assets, other people have done the scoping. You're just gonna be the people who don't go do the heist.
And I don't know if this woman, this actress, I looked up her name, if she's Irish. Her Irish accent seemed unconvincing.
It was a very thick brogue.
Okay. What does that mean?
I'm saying it was a very thick, almost stereotypical version of an Irish accent.
Okay.
But again, I don't know if she really is Irish.
I don't know. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say that she put it on.
Jonathan Pryce is more convincing, and I know he's not Irish.
He's British. So you've made a lot of enemies.
Britain is not Ireland.
I know. I'm saying they cast a British man as an Irish. He adopted it after all they took from him. There is a very just later on. There is a very weird like intersection with real world IRA stuff that was going on at the time that came out of nowhere. So it is a little weird. We'll land there because that's kind of the twist where you and I were both watching the movie and we're like,
was this about the IRA?
Huh? Because I didn't pick up any of that. So Robert De Niro drinks coffee, smokes cigarettes. Jean Reno does not drink coffee, does smoke piss. And then finally it's time for a meeting. because now that they've done all their scoping, they're going to set up for the initial deal. And they're all in a car together, and they're at the drop point of whatever. It's like your classic cars pull up, we plan things.
It's like under an overpass on the side of a river. It looks like a very nice set piece.
And Jean Reno and Robert De Niro are like full-on buddies. For some reason, they're just like, you know, I don't trust you, but you're cool because we're old. And Sean Bean is like sweating and dripping. And I legitimately thought he was going to be an addict. Like the twist would be he hasn't gotten his fix and he's doing the heist to do that. Because he is just soggy. Like,
to be fair, Sean Bean just looks wet in anything. Have you seen him in Lord of the Rings?
He looks unwashed, but he doesn't look like slick like a dolphin. Like, and so they get to do the drop point. It's a trap, because of course it is. We're 30 minutes of this movie. They're not resolving it. And so Robert De Niro saves Jean Reno's life. And so if you thought they were buddy-buddy before, they're basically just holding hands the rest of the... Like, they're doing mental health check-ins from this point on. Where they're like, what's going on, man? Are you okay? And Robert De Niro's like, I used to be in the CIA, maybe. First thing they teach you, never talk. Second thing, you're always okay. Third thing, secret. And then he, like, leaves the room. And Jean Reno's like, he's kind of a genius.
I love this man.
I don't know, let me pop another just urine-drenched Marlboro between these cracked French lips.
Look, he played it extremely well. I believe anything Jean Reno
I believe that man drinks piss.
If Jean Reno told me that Robert De Niro saved his life and is the greatest human being on earth, I'd be like, of course, Jean Reno. Tell me more.
Okay. And so then because this goes wrong, they decide Sean Bean is kind of a little freak. And they take him to a room. And they're like, prove to me you're a real guy. And he's not.
Yeah, I'm trying to even remember what that whole scene... Okay, so there were two things that we kind of brushed over. It's that Stellan Skarsgård's character is just like the computer guy.
Yeah.
Like he's just the guy in the chair who's like, I'm following them on the computer.
And Sean Bean is like the military dude.
Yeah, he's like, I'm the guns guy, get all the guns. He's doing yeah, he's doing like a Jason Statham impression in the movie.
I love Jason Statham. I wish I was watching a movie with him instead.
We were watching Crank 2.
I would watch Crank 2 so quickly. I would turn this mic off and go watch Crank 2 instead of talking about Ronin.
Yeah, so...
It'd just be you in a room talking and you hear muffled sounds of me going, woo! As I'm watching Crank 2.
Yeah, so... But Stellan Skarsgård... I'm sorry... Robert De Niro is going around kind of casing the other guys, and he bumps a coffee cup off a counter, and Stellan's character just grabs it real quickly, like before it hits the ground. And so I guess that kind of plants the seed of, if you're just the computer guy, what would you need the cat-like reflexes for?
And then he does it again. He puts a coffee cup, because after they've decided Sean Bean's a little freak, he puts that same coffee cup, and Sean Bean backs into it because his plan is bad. Robert De Niro's like, this plan doesn't make sense. If you really got military training, you wouldn't position these dudes here. So what are you really? And Sean Bean doesn't ever really answer him. He just goes, and he gets shoved into coffee, and then it spills on his pants like he's a 5th grader having a bad dream. And he's like, oh no, my pants!
I mean, it's probably fresh hot coffee.
And then he gets beat up by 50-year-old Robert De Niro who can't throw a punch. He just like, Sean Bean's like same height, if not 6 inches taller than Robert De Niro. It's hard to tell, but he's like 20 years younger, 6 inches taller, and he's like, oh, my coffee, oh, gee whiz, and just gets shoved out of the room. And Robert De Niro's like, that guy's a bitch. And then Sean Bean's like, how did you know he was fake? And he's like, in the CIA, they teach you coffee pants, never gonna be a good guy.
Third rule that I said was a secret.
Coffee pants. Always test them with the cup of joe. And that motif doesn't come up again, but it comes up twice.
I think, honestly, it was just meant to be I don't think the coffee thing was meant to come back, but I think it was meant to be a red herring, because the coffee is linked to the red herring fake out guy who shouldn't be on the team, Sean Bean, and the coffee is linked to, spoiler alert, the real turncoat, Stellan Skarsgård. So I think there's a shared motif.
Oh, okay. You know what? Sure. Because that's kind of what happens next. Now that there was the bad heist, they go do the good heist to get the briefcase, which involves, like you said, the only shootout in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And a car blows up. Kind of. And you're like, oh, like, okay.
Yeah.
We took a while to get here. We took about 40 minutes to get here. But maybe we're going somewhere.
Nothing has happened for almost an hour, and then there's this long parade of limousines. Robert De Niro kicks open the car door he's in,
and he
pulls out a grenade launcher.
Yeah.
Thunk, thunk.
Fourth rule of the CIA: fuck them.
Blows him up,
and it's awesome.
And it's like, oh my god, shit is happening. Oh. Before I forget, though, he gets his rocket launcher from Secret Spy Code Talk.
That's true. I forgot. There's a scene where he walks up to a dude and he's like, can I have a paper? And the dude's like, how do you know I was American? And then he's just like, I need a grenade launcher.
That's not the scene I'm talking about.
Oh, what are you talking?
When he gets into that car, Jean Reno's in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And Jean Reno's just like, what do you want for Christmas? He's like, my 2 front teeth. And...
right.
Jean Reno says something like, if you've been good, or inshallah, I don't remember.
They're having it's a little bit romantic, because they're best buddies. It's a check-in where he's like, I want 2 front teeth. He's like, if you've been a good boy, and then he slides him a rocket launcher.
Yeah, I thought it was just like in the backseat with him already, so the dialogue was unnecessary.
It might have, he kind of like pushes it to him. He's like, oh, you've been a good little boy. You get your rocket launcher now, De Niro. Blow up a Russian in Market.
Jean Reno is so talented if he can give like that from the front.
He's a real power bottom.
Yeah. We need to respect Jean Reno's...
I respect Jean Reno, okay? He went method for this movie. He was peeing on every cigarette he smoked.
I'm gonna look it up at some point. It doesn't matter enough to me now.
What are you gonna pull up Google? Do the French smoke pee cigarettes?
Jean Reno yellow cigarette.
You think that's gonna get... You think there's forum posts, there's a Reddit post somewhere else where someone's like, why was he smoking the pee?
Reddit has everything.
I know I'm focused on this, but there's a lot of smoking in this movie, and it's in the frame, and it's like not a super colorful movie, so when a bright fucking yellow like pipe is sticking out of someone's mouth, you notice it, and he's handing it to other people. He's pushing it in their faces.
He's offering it.
Would you like a... And so it's like a PSA.
No, Jean Reno, I don't want one of your stinky ciggies.
All right, there's some things that just stay in the French community. Escargot. Pea cigarettes.
Roman Polanski.
He's Polish.
But where's he living now?
Is it France?
Yeah.
Where's Woody Allen? New York, I think. I think he's not...
I was going to say in a ditch, hopefully.
We can, listen, be the change you want to see in the world.
It's fine because they're small. We could take them.
We could take them.
If they're shorter than me, we could take them.
I think Roman Polanski's 5'3", so you could just crush him like a soda can. Speaking of people who will turn to dust, man, I saw Rosemary's Baby recently for the first time. Mia Farrow's really good in it, and I acknowledge, man, she swung out bad. Rosemary's Baby, directed by Roman Polanski, and then she marries Woody Allen.
Oh, no.
But anyway, I saw that recently, and I'm like, wow, Mia Farrow's really good. I didn't love the movie, but I understood it's got this cultural relevance, and it's just impossible to watch a movie about the autonomy of a woman directed by a rapist. Like, Roman, did you know you're the devil in this movie?
Yeah, there's no, like, symbolism here. This is you.
You did this, or you go on to do this in, like, 10 years.
It's very unfortunate. We'll have a watch party when they're dead.
That's where I'm at. There's a lot of Woody Allens that people tell me are good that I can't see until he doesn't get royalties. And maybe that's me on my little, like, soapbox or whatever, but I'll sleep happier knowing he doesn't get the 25% kickback on my Amazon purchase.
I sleep happier whenever I hear a sex offender is dead, so...
Is that what that running tally's for? I never understood this screen on your wall that just has dates of death, just obituaries scrolling.
Look, they got what was coming to them, and it's the eternal nothing.
Gotcha. Are you causing them?
So anyway, in Ronin,
Oh my god. They get betrayed immediately on this second. It goes bad twice in a row. First time was by kind of who knows. Second time was by Stellan Skarsgård, the cheetah reflexes computer boy.
yeah, he swaps out the briefcase with a fake one.
And we don't know what's in the briefcase. And it's actually like a sticking point for De Niro. He's like, what's in the briefcase? And we never find out.
Everybody tells him it doesn't matter.
Which is the point of the movie, but also it's like this trend, right? Where we're like, why did he put a gun at the back of the bar? Why is he spilling coffee on poor little boys? Why is he asking about the briefcase? Will we get answers to any of this? The answer might surprise you. Or might not if you expected to know.
The answer's no.
The answer's no. We never found out about hot coffee pee pants.
I told my dad I watched this movie like right after, and I was like, you know, it looks nice, but you know, nothing. And he like sent me things like, oh yeah, no, that movie's fucking awful. I could have told you that and saved you the 2 hours.
Interesting.
And my dad is a very easy,
He's
like,
a quintessential dad movie enjoyer.
yeah, no, like my because like I told him too, it's like we watched Blade, and he's like, that movie's fucking awesome. So
Yeah.
like,
You know what's funny? I actually talked to my dad about this movie too once, because the first time I ever heard of it, he saw it on TV. I don't know if he finished it, but he's like, it's okay, but you're seeing stuff that gets set up, but it's kind of nothing's going on. So maybe this isn't a dad movie. Maybe this is a dad movie that tried and fell. And what's a dad movie that fails? Is it like just a red box? Just a red box trick?
it's yeah, this might be a red box movie.
Okay.
This might be like number 8 trending when it hits Netflix.
Number 8 trending.
When it hits Netflix, yeah.
That's rough. Ronin, Ronin falls into the same place Black Hat falls, which is a 2015 Michael Mann movie.
Okay.
Starring Chris Hemsworth.
Okay.
That's like almost good. You're watching it. Chris Hemsworth is a hacker, but he's also buff.
Yeah.
And so like, and that's the character. It's like he's a genius, but he gets locked in prison, so he just fucking pumps iron until he's time to go. And they're basically like, we'll let you out of prison if you stop this other evil hacker. And then nothing really happens the whole movie. And then a car blows up in the one shootout. No, there's a couple shootouts. It's a Michael Mann movie. And that's what Ronin reminds me of. Ronin reminds me of 2 movies you haven't seen, but I don't know why Ronin exists when these 2 do. And that's Heat and Mission Impossible 1.
Yeah.
Because Heat has a shootout halfway through the movie that rules and has slow build-up and has the same era of De Niro, because it's 95.
Okay.
And Mission Impossible has not a ton of action, but is like no shootouts, but some slow build-up, but you're seeing places and everyone's doing this heist.
Yeah.
And it has Jean Reno.
Why does this movie exist?
And he's on the team.
What movie? What year was Mission Impossible 1?
96. So 95 and 96
And then 98.
is Ronin.
There's a very real possibility Jean Reno could have been reading the script for this movie while on the set of Mission Impossible.
And he's like, this doesn't look very good. I must smoke a piss cigarettes.
oh no, I just quit. Why would they make me pick up piss smoking again?
We don't have a lot to go on this movie.
Yeah, so nothing happens for 45 more minutes until they get to the fucking ice skating show.
You're skipping over a little thing. They go rogue.
Yeah, they get betrayed. It's like they get set up to fail by the Irish people who hired them. So now they turn on the people who hired them. So it's Stellan Skarsgård, who is a German guy who betrayed them, is trying to sell the box to the Russians.
Yeah.
The Irish want it, so the Irish are going after the Russians and Stellan Skarsgård, and they kind of leave Jean Reno and Robert De Niro behind, and they're like, we hate that. Why would you do that to us? So now they're going after all of them.
Because they want their payout.
We've talked about this movie for 43 minutes and
Gives
nothing.
me a lot to cut.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I wanted to get to the ice skating thing because you brought up a very good point when it comes to the output of France.
What was that?
It was a beautiful ice skater, like just skating her heart out. It was a beautiful ballet on frozen water, but the pre-show was Shitty the Clown.
I forget. So the climax of this movie is all trails lead to this ice skating event hosted by a Russian mobster. And everyone loves the ice skater. She's the beautiful whatever woman that the Russians love, and
they give her a name like the doll of the snow or something because she's from Russia.
And the opening act, the warm up for the French crowd, is, as you said,
Shitty the Clown.
And it's so strange. They're just like, gear up, this beautiful woman, come to this French. Like, even these violent killers stop to watch her twirl on ice. And then you just go into the room, and it's dudes' pants falling down, jumping into barrels with big red noses as they just flop their big flipper feet around. And the French people are like, oh my God, the peak of comedy. You've done it. And then it's time for poignant ballet. And
they're able to flip that switch. Like, oh, this is high art now.
And that's something we were talking about where it's like, is French culture just like, it's either just like the highest art, French New Wave, ballet, blah, 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 or just like piss cigarettes and Shitty the Clown?
I think the French can only experience extremes.
Okay.
Their culture has been around for so long, just the mundane does not faze them anymore.
Okay. But and so
it was out of nowhere.
It's out of nowhere, and we're reaching the final confrontation. There's been some like a car chase where they're trying to get the briefcase, but it's good, but it's like it's been so long since anything's happened. Interesting.
I liked that car chase because it did a lot, and it would just do cuts to new locations. Like they're going through the French countryside with like those windy S-shaped roads like you would see in a James Bond movie, and like the beautiful like vineyard countryside. And then it cuts to Jason Bourne style, like European urban, like really old city streets. Like these paths were made for foot traffic, but they're weaving cars through them.
It feels like Mission Impossible.
I'll take your word for it.
Maybe not the first 100%, but kind of. It feels like this combo, and Anyway, it turns out, the twist of the movie, Robert De Niro, after his little French vacation with Jean Reno, is still working for the CIA, and the villain is the IRA.
Yes. And the IRA denounces Jonathan Pryce,
who wants the case, which is like kind of implied to be a super bomb a little bit.
Is it?
They say he was planning great terrorist action with it.
I honestly clocked it as just like, oh, there's money or valuables in it.
I thought it was like a bioweapon or a bomb. The whole point is it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If he got it, the IRA, an Irish terrorist so bad the IRA won't want him, will rule the world. And it's just played over a radio, though.
Yeah.
Like they shoot him to death, kind of, or catch him. I don't even remember. I think he gets shot.
Stellan Skarsgård is the one who gets shot point blank in the head.
By a Russian. And then they catch Jonathan Pryce, and then they're like, we did it. The IRA is now making peace with England. And that makes me suspicious of the point of this movie.
Yeah, no, and again, like, it is just, like, over radio, it's like this little French cafe where Jean Reno and Robert De Niro are saying their goodbyes, and it genuinely feels like they're at least gonna hug.
Yeah.
But they don't. I don't even think they shake hands when they leave. But
no.
Like,
but then
it is just like, oh, in Irish news, the IRA has denounced Jonathan Pryce, who was recently arrested
for secret case maneuvers. And then it's a voiceover of Jean Reno just going, and maybe the third rule of the CIA was a never to trust an Irishman. And then the movie ends.
The thing is, I do not remember the rules. I remember every now and then that would come up, but it never felt like it was. It
didn't feel like a motif.
Yeah, no, it came up 3 times though.
Yeah,
but it didn't feel like it
because there's so many just little like De Niro just saying wisdom to people that it means nothing.
This movie means nothing.
You know what movie does mean something? Pain and Gain, which is the second movie we watched, and I've seen before. You had never seen.
I'd never even heard of until I pulled it out of this heinous crate.
And when we pulled it out, you went, huh? And I went, oh! Because I was excited. And I'm interested. Pain and Gain, starring Mark Wahlberg, Anthony Mackie, Dwayne Johnson, directed by Michael Bay. What did you think? Just a real quick thumbs up, thumbs down.
I'm concerned about people who love the characters in this movie.
That wasn't a thumb at all. I don't know what your hands look like.
What?
I said thumbs up, thumbs down.
Oh, thumbs up, thumbs down? I don't, fucking... I would watch it again, thumbs up.
Okay. Because I love this movie.
I was not getting it. You had to, like, walk me through this movie because face value, this does just feel like Michael Bay shooting...
A Michael Bay.
Yeah, like, it's weirdly saturated. The color grading always feels off in a Michael Bay movie.
It's like pumped up color. It makes it look, there's like GoPro shots, a lot of moving cameras. Even if it's high camera, like high quality camera, it still looks a little like shitty, but intentionally so, like shaky, grungy, whatever you want to call it.
I was so surprised because this movie looks like, I wanted to say like early 2000s. Like Dwayne Johnson's just starting to get into acting. Mark Wahlberg is just getting out of prison. I don't know what he was doing in the late 90s besides the Funky Bunch.
That's all he was doing. That's all he needed to do.
I know, but there were crimes too. But I don't, so like both of them were just starting to get into acting. So that's what I thought this was. Was like a straight to VHS, like, oh, we got two up and coming actors in my movie. Like, this was 2013.
Yeah. And it didn't do great at the box office, but it didn't have a huge budget either.
Okay.
And I almost wonder if it was some sort of passion project for Michael Bay. Like, he just liked the story, and so he wanted to do it in between Transformers.
Because this was based on a true story, which I forgot about, and then they remind you about, which is funny.
This story, by the way, Pain and Gain, is about three bodybuilders who decide that they're fed up with life, they're poor, and they basically are going to kidnap a rich dude who's at this gym, and force him to sign over all of his property and investments and money to them. And it's based on a true story. And although this movie's pretty inaccurate, like it's not, those events did occur. And that's the crazy part. They basically got a notary to look the other way, give them property, things like that, kidnapped a dude and pretended to be him.
Fucking nuts.
And I love it because it's a movie on the surface level, like you said, Michael Bay, hoorah America. The main characters are bodybuilders. They're all about the American dream, do it yourself.
It has that like women objectification thing that Michael Bay does.
And that hard work, like they lift weights and that's their equivalent. They're like, that's hard work. So anything they do is them working hard. But it's not about that. It's not based on, I watched this movie and I see a director who has contempt for humanity. This is a dude who hates everyone collectively. Maybe not individually, but the idea of masses of people, the people who see his movies.
He hates his target audience.
Are stupid and selfish and will go to whatever lengths to get what they want or live their lives as slop people.
Yeah, there is greed and lust and sloth and pride and envy. The sins are all here, except maybe gluttony. Is there
the coke heads and stuff like that? It's gorging yourself on the luxury of life.
I guess.
It's because these main characters, Mark Wahlberg, Anthony Mackie, Dwayne Johnson, are not redeemable. They're likable in the sense that they're fun to watch. You know, like you wouldn't like them as people, but the movie makes them very.
It's the same reason you watch like Breaking Bad or BoJack Horseman. It's like this is the downfall of somebody who thinks they're only doing the right thing. Like it's a folly of errors that they are not seeing.
And the movie is flashy. It has freeze frames, text on screen, slow motion, and all this like Michael Bay touches.
I remember audibly saying when the movie started, because it starts with like the end of the movie thing, and then it says like earlier.
Flash forward.
Yeah, it's a flash forward. And I remember looking at like the cinematography, the camera work through like Mark Wahlberg running. I'm like, oh damn, like this is, because again, I thought this was 2003.
Yeah.
I thought this came out a decade earlier. It's like, oh my god.
But it's this perfect combo to me of whether or not the actors got it. Their performances are so good as these bodybuilders who are idiots and they think they're geniuses and they come across as the prototype for every sorts of men's rights grifter that's on like Twitch and YouTube right now, like 7 years before they blow up. And it makes you wonder,
is Michael Bay from the future?
If I go back and I watch those movies as parody, not as earnest, do they have a different tone?
Yeah.
Is Transformers a joke to Michael Bay?
We'll have to watch it and find out.
Oh my God. Because the plot of this movie is just every horrible thing these people are willing to do. It starts with him talking about how much he hates everyone who's not jacked. This is Mark Wahlberg. It's just a monologue. And then it's just watching him decide to rob a guy, how he's going to kidnap him, all the ways he's failing.
He gets talked into it by another, like, male, you know, dominance grifter.
Yeah.
He goes to, like, a business seminar, and it's...
like a self-help thing.
Yeah, and it's, like, full of nothing. Like, the whole point is, like, there are those in life who are doers and don'ters.
Yeah.
The point of my seminar is be a doer, not a don'ter. You just keep saying that.
It's pointless chaff, and he's in this sea of people that he would hate. People that aren't athletic, people that aren't, like, what do you call it? Like, in suits, right? Everyone there looks like Florida trash, kind of intentionally.
Yeah.
And he considers himself the main character, Mark Wahlberg's character, Daniel Lugo. That's a sign of quality for a movie, as if I remember a character's name.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you a single name. Sam. Ronin's main character is named Sam.
Holy shit.
Because he's American.
Oh.
So it might be a code name, I don't know.
Yeah, it is. But it's just, I'm interested. Do you feel that when you watch that movie? Do you feel that overwhelming cynicism and contempt for its characters and its audience?
I don't feel the contempt as much because it still feels like everybody on set was having fun with it. I do feel the hate for humanity angle. Like, I do feel it. Yeah, again, like it wasn't totally clicking throughout. It felt very much. I think I likened it to Fight Club for people who didn't get Fight Club, but it feels like a parody of that kind of, you know, people. There's that list of like if a guy says that like American Psycho, Fight Club, Breaking Bad, like if he says that like these are his favorite things, that's like a huge red flag. This feels like if you put this movie on that list, that's like clown nose wig, you know.
Yeah. Michael Bay movies, everyone says they're like, oh, hoorah America, right? They've got the flags waving, Bud Light commercial, cars, you know, trucks. But this movie, every time the American flag is shown or the American dream is brought up, it's sarcastic or facetious or used to justify just murdering somebody. And every time, like, Mark Wahlberg, Daniel Lugo is stupid, but he thinks he's a genius. So he finds stupider people who also think he's a genius.
More stupid.
Whatever. I'm going to kidnap you.
No, because I'm apparently the Mark Wahlberg of this situation.
Oh my God. Can you answer a couple questions about that thing you did with that Vietnamese man in 1990?
No.
Are you sure?
No.
Okay, well, I'm the Dwayne Johnson of this, and I'm worth $1 billion.
That's something else. You couldn't get a movie anymore. It's like Anthony Mackie's in the MCU now. Dwayne Johnson is a huge name. Mark Wahlberg is still alive. You couldn't get a movie anymore now where Dwayne Johnson plays a cokehead Jesus freak.
Yeah. And Anthony Mackie plays an impotent steroid abuser.
Yeah, he takes steroids and his penis stops working, and he marries his penis doctor.
And I almost don't want to. There's not really much to spoil in this movie in the sense that
this movie's over a decade old.
Well, no, I meant in the sense that you know he's going to get arrested.
It's based on true events. You could look up.
But also just these characters don't get away with this.
Yeah.
There's no riding into the sunset. So you're just watching a spiral of how far they're willing to go. Because it starts with kidnapping. Then it goes to killing. Then it goes to like, oh, we need to like hunt and kill more people.
It's kidnapping and then forgery and
torture.
Yeah.
And then killing. And
attempted killing.
Every single time, Mark Wahlberg gives a self-help seminar to everyone in the movie about why you can justify doing this. And every single time they buy it because it gets them something. Or they're tricked because they're an idiot. Because everyone is an idiot.
Everyone.
There's one smart character in the movie. Ed Harris plays a private eye who shows up about an hour 20 in.
I want to say he's like the third act introduction.
Right. And he basically unravels the plot because he's willing to pay attention to these nonsense idiots and he's comfortable in life. He's the only person not constantly hunting to consume or like gain or anything. And he just has a wife who's...
Yeah.
And if that's Michael Bay's message, that's shocking because there is not a single other piece of Michael Bay media that reflects that.
It genuinely feels like for a brief moment he's been swimming in like the deep end of the corporatized Hollywood, swimming with sharks. He was able to come up for air for only a moment, and his gasp of air was 2013's Pain and Gain.
And it was just, I hate you all, you disgusting consumerist dirt people. And then he was dragged back to make Transformers 5 with King Arthur and a dinosaur.
And a robot sword. But Pain and Gain... It's incredible because it really doesn't feel like it fits into Michael Bay's oeuvre.
No.
It's
a slip.
Yeah, but it's a good one.
Right.
Cuz like again, it's similar to like the American Psycho of like, hey, if you idolize this guy, that's the problem. The whole movie is like our protagonist. Ed Harris is the only good person in the movie.
And it didn't review well. It didn't review poorly, but it was like mixed. And one of the criticisms was inaccuracies to the original story, which is whatever. To me, that doesn't matter too much.
When you ask Michael Bay to helm a based on true events story, he's gonna go for extremes and radicals.
And to me, it speaks with incredible talent that he looked at this story of these bodybuilders wanting more, and he said, not only does my style fit into here, I can narrow down the core interest, the core emotion at the center of this. Is that greed, is that unchecked desire, is how this, like you were pointing out, the 7 deadly sins are represented in everything a bodybuilder is in America. That requires skill. That gives me respect for Michael Bay that I didn't know I had until I saw this the first time. But also, people didn't like the violence. One of the criticisms was like, it's so violent. And it's like, that's the point. The point is the extremes, these horrible people who just become, like, they don't start the movie super willing to kill people. They're a little sociopathic, but they're not like, yeah, let's kill people. And by the end, they're hacking bodies to pieces to hide the evidence because it's all about getting to that next step.
Dwayne Johnson runs over Tony Shalhoub, who he considers a friend. And Tony Shalhoub lives.
And dare I say the critics didn't understand Bay's intentions on this one. Because
are you going to take a stand on Pain and Gain?
I'm going to take a stand on Pain and Gain. Because even the victims, the people you're supposed to sympathize with, are rich assholes who are constantly mean to everybody, and the movie points it out. Ed Harris even goes, "You're a tough victim to sympathize with," or something like that. He says that to their face because the point is everyone is horrible. The rich don't deserve the money they have, and the greedy don't deserve to take it from them.
Is Ed Harris meant to be the audience's true in for this movie, being the only competent character to look around and be like, all of this shit is like really easy to figure out because they're idiots and they left a trail?
Yes. And he not only is he the only character, he's the only character whose pain stops his momentum. When Tony Shalhoub gets destroyed, he's the character that they decide to kidnap and everything. Mm-hmm. These kidnapped people, when they get brutalized and injured, it fuels their anger. They try to get more out of it. When the main characters get injured, Mark Wahlberg has a speech about you heal, you get back up. Even when he ends up in jail, he's like, I'm coming back for round 2. Ed Harris, his back goes out and he lays in a field to let it heal. He thinks it over. And so he can see the world correctly, because he'd rather spend time relaxing rather than aggravating that injury. Muscles, you got to tear them to make them bigger. Rather than getting bigger and bigger for the pursuit of nothing, he wants to sit with his wife. This movie is smarter than they gave it credit for, and I will fight on that.
Well, you heard it here first. Michael Bay, competent filmmaker.
Yes, and Pain and Gain is what you should see.
Honestly, like, you're talking me, I don't know if you're Mark Wahlberg, but you're talking me into liking Pain and Gain more. It's competent. Like, it's beyond competent. Mm-hmm. It's actually a well-structured, this is the shit that they teach you in the world's cheapest film school, or the nation's cheapest film school. Like, this is how they teach you to structure a film. It's like, don't just put it up on screen to put it up on screen. What's the messaging behind that? Mm-hmm. What are you trying to say with each scene? How does it influence what's going on?
And so, I'm so glad we pulled this, because I've wanted to talk about it just in general. I'm happy someone else saw it in my circles and stuff. I think more people should see it. I'll probably try to get other people I know to watch it, just so I have more people to talk to about it.
We could bring them on over. We got it.
And we could lock them down, because it's worth checking out. It might be the first movie on this stupid show that I've actually, like, full on, I like this.
The first movie featured on KAFM. Not Blade?
I forgot we watched Blade. There's been 2 movies on this show I like.
I was about to say, you like Michael Bay more than Blade?
Your Honor, I can't remember shit too good.
Well, any final thoughts on either of these movies? I think everybody in Ronin played their part well. I just feel like it could have the script could have been trimmed.
Yes.
But it reviewed well at festivals.
Did it?
Yeah, no, this was Ronin was like a festival movie.
Well, I think we live in an unjust world where Ronin does good at festivals and Pain and Gain receives mixed reviews. Cut the feed.